All right, it is Friday, May 3rd, 7 a.m. All right, so just getting myself set up here. No trade today so far. The open was kind of budget today. This is what it was. This is what it was looking like. I was leading up to the open, and let's see here. This was the bar right before the open, so it already reached a new high. I was thinking that I'd want, originally when I was watching this, I was thinking I'd want my high to be, enter along like above the white line. And so when it did this, it kind of took that play away from me. And so I didn't like anything to the long side because I didn't like having a new high from this already. And then the short side, I didn't trust because this was the next bar on the open. And I originally was planning on putting my entry for a short side all the way down here. And so when this move happened and we had a new high, the only thing that made sense was to like put my short entry somewhere up here. And I just didn't want to do that because I figured, this was kind of the bottom. And the last thing I wanted was it to like just be tight and then put me into the trade and then go higher. So I just didn't want to put it up here. It didn't feel safe to me. And it would have worked if I had done that. But obviously, if I had put it below where I was originally thinking, then maybe I'd get picked up here and then I would have lost. So I did the right thing for myself. I mean, it's kind of the second time I think I've seen this happen where it makes a new high from the session high. And so the short is good tight. I think I've seen that once before now. But just wasn't feeling good about that trade, so stayed out of it. Also, because I was going to play 2 PAs today. Now I've got 4 total PAs. I've got the 2 that I've been trading for a while, and then the one that I've traded one day that was new the other day, and then another new one now today that's not traded yet. So I've got 4 PAs. So I was going to trade these 2 on the opening, and then so that was another reason why I was like, it was such a weird open. It was very slow. No matter which side you were on, you weren't going to get triggered on the first bar. And so it gave me plenty of time to decide when this bar closed, like, okay, I'm not going to do anything here. So I played it safe. Hopefully I'll have a better open on Monday. I feel safer about taking the open trade. So no trades today so far. I'm just going to start with PA7 as my first trade, if I get a trade. We also just had news right as I was starting my stream, and there's a small part of me that wanted to play the news since the open was such a non-event. Not sure which side triggered first, but I think no matter which way I would have had that, I would have won. But because of how the open was, I just decided, what, I'm not going to play a news event. And my last news event that I tried to play was, it turned into a 20-something minute trade that I had to work out of. So I'm not as comfortable with that as just trading the open trade. So just, it's Friday. I don't want to hopefully make any too big mistakes that I have to think about all weekend. So I'm just going to take it easy, be smart, trade my system. I've got 3 evaluations that I've only traded one day on that are new, that I have a whole month on. So depending on how the market looks, who knows, maybe I'll concentrate more on those today. But I'd like to get a trade for at least PA7 and PA8. And it'd be great to get one for PA9 just to get a day in, but I don't want to play too fast and too loose. Now, in theory, it's entirely possible to expect a measured move like this. I don't know if we'll quite get that far. I mean, we are already at the highs, basically testing the old support. So take this off now. So we'll see. I mean, since this moved up like this, you can expect a second leg about that. So there's room for a second leg to go higher here, in theory. All right, so I do have 4 charts that I can play with my scalping strategy. And, you know, this made a high, another high, and another high. I don't necessarily think that we have to retest this high, although we'll see what happens here. You know, if this gives up these levels, this is kind of like the last stand level almost. Yeah, those are kind of the 2 important levels here. So if it breaks below these, we might be attempting to fill the gap again, like yesterday. Yesterday it turned out it's a good thing I stopped trading when I did, because I was definitely having internet issues and I just wasn't entirely realizing it. So the stream being as delayed as it was kind of giving me an indication ultimately that the internet wasn't running as well as it normally does. And then after I stopped streaming, when I was uploading my review video, the internet completely stopped, and like mid upload. So it was at that point I realized, like, okay, I was having like an internet problem yesterday, because I was getting really frustrated that the stream was so delayed. Usually it's delayed, but not by, you know, my first stream that I attempted ended up being delayed by like almost 10 minutes. And then the second time I was easily 4 or 5 minutes delayed by the time I decided to stop. So I'm glad I decided to stop, because who knows, if I kept going, maybe I would have, you know, been in a trade when I lost the internet completely. And I ended up having to restart my router and my internet modem and everything. So at least I walked away going, okay, well then it could have been worse. I was frustrated, but it could have been worse. I could have, you know, been in a trade when that happened. And so keeping things in perspective, just the stream being delayed was the least of my issues, potentially. And then I thought more about the trade I took yesterday that I got frustrated with myself. And, you know, it was just like a lapse of being, you know, tuned into what the market was doing and like really taking a look and analyzing things like I've already done now. So I just need to make sure that when I start the day and I start talking, you know, for YouTube, or just talking for myself, but explaining what's going on, what I'm thinking about, I gotta like kind of do some sort of accounting of what the market's doing, so I have an idea of where I'm at in case I do see a trade, you know. in case I do see something that I want to take a setup, that I at least have some kind of idea that I've already thought about and talked about of what the market's doing, so that if something comes up, I don't just take a trade kind of impulsively because I see a setup, which is kind of what happened yesterday. So I'm kind of looking at this like it's like one leg down. So I'm going to see if this is like going to be a second leg down here, which means it has to break through this level, right? So we're already, we've been below the open price. We've been above it. The open price was a little bit of support here, but it didn't last. We got below it, got above it, got below it. So we'll see what happens here at these kind of levels. I mean, this isn't a very strong level here. So it's really, if it breaks through this level, it'll be interesting. You had this big news event at 5:30 Pacific. So I don't know, a lot of times it'll take those back, but definitely seems like it's getting rejected at the former support area. It's the first time it's come up and retested it. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that we're potentially going to be reaching this measured move and maybe beyond. Yeah, the gap is all the way down here. The dashed blue line is the previous day close. That's what I wasn't keeping track of yesterday. All right, so we already broke below this level here. The other thing I was going to say was just I specifically didn't start my stream until after the news event, like a minute after, just so that I wouldn't, I wouldn't impulsively take the open trade. So the fact that I wasn't on the stream for it, or not the open trade, but the news trade. So the fact that I wasn't already streaming for it helped me stay out of that, just because I didn't have a great experience trading news last time. Sagi, welcome. Good morning or good evening to you. I should say good evening, right? Yep, new PA added from yesterday. I passed the evaluation on the open trade yesterday. So 4 PAs. So one under my all-time best of having 5 PAs all at one time. So this is the first time I've had 4 at one time this year. And I'm still hoping to add another one. This account actually just renewed, like, I think it was the beginning of this week. So I actually have a whole full month now before I really have to pass this without worrying about another fee. So I'm not going to be very focused on passing this right away. I got time. I'm going to actually see if I can build these up a little bit more before I go back to trading this one. And because my thought is that I can just trade this one on the open, like any 2 days in a row will get me basically past, I think. But yeah, it's great to have another one. It's also great to have another 50K, because the 50Ks are what I'm going to be focused on. This is my last 25K. I'm not gonna get any more 25K evals. So I canceled anything that was a 25K that might have renewed. And so these are my last 2 25Ks I'm ever planning on having, at least at this point. And then, I want them to all be 50Ks from now on. I just decided that with the way I'm trading now, it just makes sense, for a couple bucks more. That extra $1,000 of drawdown is helpful for me. Potential second entry short here. Not a lot of room to this level. Kind of sideways. I mean, I have the measure move down, so maybe that's a good trade. But I'm not feeling confident about it just because I know there's this kind of support level here potentially. Looks like it's not even going to trigger maybe. If it comes all the way back down, I might do this on PA7. I don't know, I just don't like that it's so close to this. All right, so it's not doing it right now anyway. It actually looks like this on a slightly different chart, which is another reason why they're both kind of congested there, sideways. How are you doing today, Saggy? Any trades yet? So, I mean, these bars right here kind of look like a range within themselves. So kind of at the top of that, but now we're above this level. Maybe we'll go on to retest the high. I don't know. If we can't make it down here, then I do think we're going to retest the high. So it's hard to say. No trades today. Did you trade yesterday? How was your day yesterday? So I'm going to take these off. I kind of know where they are now. I'm canceling that. See if it would have worked. Very close already. I think it actually already worked. Yeah. All right. Probably could have left that trade on. I mean, I was kind of looking at this like this was its own range. So plenty of room back to the bottom. But just being aware of that larger support level that I was looking at before, it was right basically where I needed my profit target to be. So my take profit. And we can see it's bouncing here. So trying to. Probably a trade I could have taken, but it's Friday. I'm always a little bit, trying to be a little bit safer on Fridays. I want to really like the trades I take and feel confident. Especially coming off yesterday where I just took that trade that I really was like, why did I do this? So. But this was a pretty good trade. I think with knowing that I'm expecting this measured move down, knowing we're below kind of everything now, I think I could have taken that, knowing there was room to the bottom of these candles. So we'll see what happens with this measured move. I mean, it seems like it should get there the way the market's moving. And if it gets there, it, makes me think, well, why wouldn't it get to the lower levels as well? The CL line is the previous day high of the session. The red is the current session's low. And then the dashed blue line is the previous day close of the New York market. But at this point, I'd say if it doesn't reach this measured move, then we're gonna get a retest of the high. So it's kind of like that's how I look. That's how I look at these things. Saggy's playing a video game now. Which one? I honestly kind of rather play a video game right now. I don't know, just coming off of yesterday. I mean, things are good. I passed an evaluation. It's not like I blew up an account or anything. And I only lost $500 in my PA account. But it was just like the decision of that trade. I really couldn't shake it. I was thinking about it all day yesterday. Until last night when I finally found some peace with it. And just, I think when you put enough hours into looking at the charts, there's going to be a moment in the day that comes along where you just kind of lose sight of the bigger picture and just, make a mistake. All right, now I feel very out of it. What's PUBG? I'm sure I should know this, but I don't think I know this. Maybe I do know it, and I'm too sleepy to put it together. Where are we on the daily? Here's the daily again. Daily's not going to give me too much information on a day like today, because it could still come up higher and still get back to the support level of this range before it decides what to do next week, or it can still go lower. It's just there's nothing to gain from looking at that for me personally. Looking at the 1 minute. It seems like this level is kind of holding. So to me, if that level is holding and we don't get to this measured move, then we are definitely going back to the highs. That's what it's feeling like. Players Unknown Battleground. I don't know that one. I've been out of it as far as games. Anything, I guess, new, I wouldn't know. Unless it's just like is it like a shoot off of one of the shooter games that I know about? Saggy took one trade today, up 323 in the London session. Oh, in the London session. Right. Because that's more. His London session, is that like early noon for you? Late morning? What is this market doing? It's attempting to go down. All right, so maybe we'll hit that measured move still. So this is now kind of the kind of market where I'm not interested in going counter trend unless I hit like a really key area. Maybe measured move, but maybe not. Definitely not in this area here, because now I'm just seeing it as being below the support. So if there was like a second entry to the long side around here, I would definitely just not be taking that personally. It looks like it's going to try to set up one because here's a new high. First entry. So this is like danger zone for a long with my system. $450. 16 ticks. So this would have worked for me. But I'm not going to take a counter trend trade right into previous support. More times than not, that turns into resistance and this thing continues to go down to the measured move. Worked this time. For you, so for Saggy says afternoon is his London session. 1 p.m. is London. Nice. So it's a reasonable time for you to be looking for a trade. It's interesting to think about, just like depending on where you are in the world, you know, kind of like what time of day your usual trading is. Because for me, you know, it's like, it's so early in the morning, it's painful. Wake up at 6 to be ready for the New York Open trade at 6:30. And I've never been one that is able to really wake up well in the morning, early morning. I mean, even for me, it's like to wake up at 8 was always a struggle. So to wake up at 6 is really, really difficult. But then other people, you know, depending on where you are, it's a completely different experience. You know, even if I was just New York, you know, market opens at 9:30, like that would be great for me. Except for the fact that if my daughter's home, then I wouldn't be able to trade at all. All right, so we didn't get to the measured move here, and now we're back above that level. So I'll be interested to see what happens around here at the open level. But the way this feels, I mean, it definitely feels like we're at the very least getting a retest of the high. And so now I'm kind of rethinking. It's kind of the same level. Oops. It's kind of the same level here. I mean, is it at all possible that this is all like one leg and that's a second leg? I mean, that would be really crazy. Sometimes when these measured moves seem completely crazy, they actually work. I mean, that's like, $18,220 is 18,220. That's all the way up here. But look at that. It lines up with this. Lines up with the measured move from the daily chart. 1800 to just under 210. Very similar. So, I don't know, kind of a hard day to tell. It's already 7:30, haven't gone to close the gap. Kind of looks like a sort of head and shoulders possible pattern maybe overall. But the fact that we couldn't even get to this measured move just makes me think that we're going higher. So it's interesting. I mean, it's already a very strong up day. Sagi says, according to my track record, Friday and Monday are so risky for my account. Just waiting for my friends to get out. Yeah, I feel the same way. I always feel like Fridays I want to be the most careful, because Fridays in the past for me, like I've had some really bad Fridays, and then not only were they bad, but then it just ruins my entire weekend. So I'm always a little bit apprehensive and careful on Fridays for sure. And then Mondays too. Mondays can be like a really dry day for whatever reason. And so, I found that Mondays I can be like really eager to trade, like really excited, like, all right, start trading again after a couple of days off. And then, start maybe forcing trades or taking riskier trades than you want to take. And before you know it, you're not having a great day. It's definitely happened to me. So I'm with you there, Sagi. I feel like kind of Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays tend to be the sweet spot. Although it's not always true. I mean, I've had great Mondays before. I've had great Fridays before. I'm always just, definitely a little bit more careful. So this is interesting. Just, the support level is pretty much held. The opening price is playing a bit of resistance now. So it's kind of like which side's going to break. Definitely, it's nice to have the 4 PAs now, especially having this 50K, because I was feeling a little bit. It's like when I only have 150K, it makes it feel like there's a lot on the line if something happens to that account. But now that there's another one, anytime I always have another duplicate account, it just feels like, okay, well, if it all goes wrong, I've still got this, And right now, all it takes is 2 payouts from any combination of whatever 2 PA accounts. 2 payouts gets me above break even right now, for the next foreseeable future for a while. So even if I pass this one, even with that extra $140 lifetime fee, still 2 payouts from any 2 accounts gets me above. So that's going to be my focus, is just trying to play these as well as I can. And then eventually, sometime in the next month, to pass this one, I'll have an additional backup, and then as well as build these up. I want to have these in place to become PAs, hopefully around the time, if things work out, where these are in position to possibly get payouts. And it's nice. I can tell my stream is working normally today. So there's the usual delay, but it's not ridiculous like yesterday. So that's good. And I'm definitely going to have to finish today by somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half from now. So I won't be able to have a long session today. I'm really, like today, I feel like I'm just taking it easy no matter what, and just, I'll take what comes to me, but I don't want to force anything. Like this trade that I skipped kind of felt like I'd be forcing it if I took that trade. Would have worked. But I just want to take a trade that just looks straight up good to me, or else, even if I don't have a trade today, it's fine with me. I'm looking forward to having the weekend to kind of regroup and get my mind right, and be able to come back next week trading at my best. Because yesterday, just, the trade that I lost on was definitely not my best. And then even the next trade that I won barely, and that was not a great trade. So really, I should have stayed out of that one as well, honestly. mean, I know where this level is. I don't need that. Maybe if this was being measured like this, did we get there? That's at least closer. So maybe that's the better way of measuring 2 legs, 1 leg, 2 legs. Basically, I already got there. Or could it be something like that? Yeah, it's another possibility, but I think it's really probably the first one. To me, this seems better. That seems more reasonable. So it's basically like it already got there. I just realized I never took off the OCO order. All right. And for anyone that might be here and doesn't know how I trade off of a Replicanto copier. So I use the sim account is my leader account, and I copy trade to my Apex accounts. So just so that nobody thinks that I'm just trading sim. That's not the plan. I'll be using the sim account and copy trading to my PA number 7 if I take a trade. That'll be my first trade. I'll just do that for kind of ease of use, ease of setting up which account I want to trade and how many contracts. That can just all be in my Replicanto window. Instead of constantly changing everything I'm doing every time I'm switching accounts and switching contract sizes. Just so you know. So there's a new low here. This actually ticked below. So this was a second entry here. It would have worked. I didn't even notice that. On one of my other tick charts, there's a first entry short here. So the next time it ticks under would be a second entry to the short side. But I'm not looking for shorts at this moment. I'm actually thinking more longs. The same story is true on this chart. New low, first entry. So if it ticks below, it'll be a second entry to the short side. I don't play like failures in my system. So if there's a second entry short that fails to go lower, like I don't play the opposite side. I just play second entry straight up. But when I'm freelancing on the 1 minute chart, I'll play it either direction if something sets up, if I'm playing it that way. But I'm typically not trading off the 1 minute chart unless I'm, for whatever reason, not trading my regular scalping system anymore for the day. Usually, so far, I've only done that when I've ran out of charts to trade. I've only done it a couple times. So I did see, I should mention it, I did take a look and I saw that both the volatility guy that trades the New York Open and Alpine, they both took the short on the Open, which, yeah, I described this earlier, but when prices were forming before the Open, and this bar was the last bar before before the New York Open actually hit. So it already had a new high over here. So I definitely didn't like the longs at all. Like I had my long like way up so that if it shot up, I'd be in it. But then this next bar is the bar that formed right after the Open. So it's like nobody got entered in a trade on either side. on the New York Open. I had my short entry all the way down here, and I didn't want to put it up here because I was concerned that like it could just like tick in the shorts and then fly up. To me, it looked like both Alpine and Volatility, their shorts were somewhere like around here maybe. I think Alpine, his closed on this candle, so he had to be a little bit higher. I think Volatility was around the same spot, but yeah, I just didn't trust it, so I didn't take the trade. All right, it'll be a second entry short below here, but that's right into the EMA. It's right off the open and between the EMA, so it's just a spot where I don't take the trade. Same story here. So, even though technically it'd be below the EMA for this one to trigger, it would be a engulfing bar for me to be able to get in. And I just don't like the spot it's in, so no trade for me here. I'm just going to watch, keep my cool. This week has been kind of, I'm only 7-3 for the week. So it's been kind of like a little bit of a harder week for me. To have 3 losses this week when I had no losses for the prior 2 weeks. Yeah. Market always just has a way. It's like, I was feeling really confident and like, all right, this is good. No losses in such a long time. And then you get hit with 3 in 1 week and you go, oh yeah, I can still get losses. I'm not invincible. All right, so this thing is apparently wanting to go up. This is a new low here, lower than this low. So there's a first entry short. So the next time it ticks below a bar on this chart, it will also be a second entry short. So now that's true on 3 of my charts, 3 of the 4 charts. I'm also looking at this now, which it looks like it's already there, basically, just about. But I definitely will not be looking to go short above the open. And this is what like my system is just all about. Really, it's like having as many objective reasons to take a trade or not take a trade. Like I think this one was a pretty objective reason to take it. The fact that there was room, it was off the EMA, there was no like level. In fact, it's really just like in hindsight, it's even better. The trade looks even better because I'm just thinking like, okay, there's kind of a gap to the bottom of where the support was. So that's probably the only good objective trade I've seen today. Actually, for sure, is the only real trade I could have potentially truly considered. Now we're right at this measured move. Let's see what happens here. Setting up a second entry short, potentially right here off of it. But even though there's a lot of room here, well, we'll see where the bar closes. There's not a lot of room to the open if it closes much lower. And I also don't want to take a trade right into the low of, or the body low of this candle. And I have reason to believe we're going higher at this point since we couldn't keep going down. So I'm just gonna wait. The one thing it has going for it is it's right at the measured move, and there is space to the open. And it's potentially setting up a trade on 3 of my 4 charts. But this chart, it's not. This chart could be a second entry short. This chart could be a second entry short. So if it triggers on all of them and fails on all of them, then I lose all those charts at the same time. So I hope that doesn't happen. It looks like the price is going to just keep going. Keep pushing up, not trigger it for anything. Now it feels even more tempting if it comes down, but I think my original analysis is good, that when it couldn't get down to that bigger measured move, that we're going up here. We'll see. This is trying to tempt me in. All right, this just triggered. Very tempting looking trade. Take the short there. It's about to trigger on my other charts too. Not this one, but on this one. This one and this one. So right now it's only triggered on this one chart out of the three that it potentially could have triggered on. And look at this. So it's showing signs of what I was concerned about, is just that it has strength to come all the way back up here and it could trap in shorts. So we'll see if it works or not. And there's definitely plenty of room up. All right. I think that already just worked now. That's one tick shy. One tick shy of there, now it would have worked. All right. So he says, broke my rule, took trade, up 360. My setup is great. I just want to master my emotions. My plan is to not take a trade. I don't know why on my window here, there's always this like heart that's in the way of reading the sentence. My plan is to not take a trade, but because of not having discipline, took a trade. You took another new trade right now? No, oh, I see, because you were up 323 earlier. So yeah, you took another trade. You're up 360 now. So you feel like you took the trade more because of emotions than, right? Segi says yes. Yeah, I mean, it's like definitely a balancing act, right? Like for me, I typically have good discipline. Yesterday, I had a lapse in my discipline. I typically have good discipline to not take a trade, but like I also don't think it's the best thing to just like kind of say like, oh, I'm just not going to take a trade today. And then if you see a great trade, you don't take it. I think if you see a good trade, yeah, take what the market gives you. That's just my opinion. Like I don't ever, it's also why I try to stay out of like getting too biased. That if I see a good setup in a good place like this honestly is like a good example because I've got the measured leg, it hit resistance exactly there. And then I said this was a tempting trade for me. But my bias was kind of telling me like, I think we're going to go back up to the highs again. So because my bias was kind of set on going to the highs, I had good discipline to not take the trade. But at the same time, like there's enough objective reasons to say, well, there's really not a reason to not take the trade. I'm at a measured move, perfect measured move, had the setup, and now look what the market's doing. So, but there's like this balance between emotions and discipline, right? So I get you. I mean, I think, if you have a winning trade, even though you had your mind set up that you weren't going to take a trade, it's like something you shouldn't be harsh on yourself for because you obviously took a trade that you saw something in it that fits your edge. And so, if the market's giving you something that fits your edge, you should take advantage of it. Sagi says, I'm lacking in discipline and emotional control after mastering this. Might be a deadly trader. Again, it's hard for me to read. Wish they would. I don't know why this. I might be deadly trader. Yeah. It's just such a fine balance between like emotional control and discipline, and then being able to still take advantage of your edge and execute on the trade, right? I mean, I think that's the thing that I'm always kind of coming up against is exactly that thing, yesterday I think was an example of me kind of losing my balance with my discipline, that I just wasn't aware of where I was on the chart when I took the trade. I saw a setup happening while I was talking, and I didn't take a lot of time to think about it, and I just entered the trade, and it immediately went against me. And the only good thing there was I had the discipline to accept the loss, because if I didn't, I mean, ultimately it would have worked out. I would have actually been able to work out of that trade and end up with a winner. But I had no idea where I was on the chart. So I didn't realize that there was a level below that could still be a place where the market would bounce. And so for all I knew, the thing could just keep dropping and dropping and dropping all day yesterday. And I could have blown up my account. So I did the right thing in terms of discipline after the fact of taking the trade to say like, okay, just take the small loss and move on and accept it. But I didn't follow my discipline in like being on point and making sure I was prepared to take a trade before I took it, and it cost me a loss. And then the emotional issue came into play after that, because then I was beating myself up, like, why did I take that trade? I wasn't paying attention. I need to be more on point, and I should know better than to take the trade. And then so I had that like emotional imbalance yesterday too. So I get it. Sagi says, first I should master English. Well, it seems like you understand well enough. And I mean, I understand what you're typing, so it's all good. Trading's hard. I mean, that's the thing, is like, there's so many people on YouTube that just like want to portray trading as like being an easy thing. And it's definitely not easy. And I think we fool ourselves into like thinking like, oh, it should be easy. But it's like the hardest easy money you can make, but for it to be easy, you have to master all these different facets of yourself and mold yourself into being able to, be disciplined, be emotionally like solid, and then not have analysis paralysis that keeps you out of trades, be able to execute your trades, but also be able to skip trades. If they don't, whatever that thing is, if it doesn't feel right, or you just have a bias that it's not fitting the context of what you're thinking for the market. And then you have to be able to just walk away from a trade, sometimes you have to be able to walk away from just trading it all for a day if you're just not feeling it. Like me yesterday when I was just like beating myself up over a bad trade that I knew immediately was a bad trade, and then being frustrated with my internet situation, apparently the YouTube delay in the stream. And I just knew I was like at a point emotionally yesterday where I was like, okay, there's just not even a point of sitting here and trying to trade anymore. And like I did take another trade after my loss, and I barely got out of it for a win. And the trade was actually like against what I was thinking for the market, because I took a short and I was thinking the market was going to go long actually at that point. And so I just knew it was like, okay, time to stop trading today. It's not like things are not going to go well if I stay here. So I think, there's just so many things that we as traders have to like figure out for ourselves. And that's not like a system, but like a system is great for how you enter and exit trades. I personally do best with like the system that I'm using, where I have like as much of a black and white objective system to enter trades. It's like it is or it isn't a trade. It's and then there's a little bit of subjectivity, like in terms of like finding a level of support like this and deciding whether I'm going to take a trade here into it, even though there's plenty of room. Like I skipped that one, it would have worked easily. But even having skipped it, now a lot of people skip it and go like, I knew I should have taken it. And, that would have been a win. That would have been, that would have been the win of the day if I just want one win today. And then let that get to them. And then they take some other trade that doesn't work out because now they're just too thirsty for a trade. So it's just, there's so many sides to the whole thing. There's just so many angles. So really the best thing is to just, the most important thing is to have your mind right. It's like to be able to like miss a trade and not get FOMO because of it. To not just take a trade because you're thirsty for one. And then, but also to not like limit yourself and just say, oh, today's a day I'm just not going to take a trade. And then you take a trade, whether it wins or loses, like you can't beat yourself up for that. Like if it fits your edge, then you're supposed to take the trade. You're supposed to take the trade, when the market gives you a setup, otherwise, why are we sitting here? So, but yeah, I totally can relate to you, Saggy. After having said all that, I know the feeling. So at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say I don't know what this market's doing. It's entirely possible because on the daily we came up and hit that old support level, just shy of it. I mean, it's entirely possible that was the move to the upside today. The market's really just been very sideways, but it does look like a head and shoulders. I don't trade head and shoulders, but shoulder here, head here, shoulder here. So I suppose if this thing breaks this, that would be considered the head and shoulders, in which case I think you would measure from here. So maybe we're looking for something like that potentially. All right, this was a second entry long here, but I'm just so confused with what the market's doing that I'm not looking for a trade right there. I actually have that on 2 of my charts. Second entry here too, so it looks like it's going against it, which means this might be the end of 2 of my charts. Saggy says, on this weekend, I got to set some rules for discipline and emotions. It's going to help me in trading. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely support that support that idea. The emotions are the thing that works against us the most, because once the emotions take over and you're reacting on that, that's the first sign of trouble. It's like when you're, I don't know, if you're scuba diving and you panic, then if there's like a level of fear that kicks in, then you start doing things that you wouldn't normally do. So I think, trying to control the emotions is the number one thing. Number one, because emotions just make you take trades you wouldn't trade normally, make you, revenge trade, do things that are just out of your character. And then the discipline side is a real balance, just finding the discipline versus not being able to take a trade. All right. So this chart and this chart both technically have losing entries. Now, I'm kind of in a weird place because my system is that's supposed to be a loss if I take a second entry long and it goes below the signal bar. It's supposed to be a loss, although there is a rule that you can move it to the next swing. So, but it's still technically a loss according to the system. But it's a loss only because it's a carryover from max price action rules about where you put your stop under a signal bar. So it's kind of a leftover thing, but it's still how I judge whether I'm using continuing to use a chart or not. So I mean, my system is basically like, I think I said it yesterday. Like, I basically feel like I'm trading with training wheels on when I am sticking to my system, which has been good for me. Like, it's made me an 80+% win rate trader this year. So sounds like my daughter's waking up. So it's funny because I kind of have all this in place to kind of keep me on the right track. But then there's like very black and white things about it. Like on a chart like this, like if the setup doesn't work for my profit target and it goes below the signal bar, then that's not what the trade's intended to do. So I consider it as being a loss for the chart. And when I get a loss, then my rule is I stop trading that chart. So I'm kind of getting to like a little bit of a strange place with the system, only because I've also decided that I don't want to put my stops there. Like, I want to risk my account and give myself a chance to come back from a trade that goes against me. Because I've seen that I can do that on the open trade now. So because of that, we'll see here. Like, does this take out? Oops. Will this take out? I tick below that bar or not? Because the way I'm seeing things now is, if I were in that trade, I wouldn't take this loss. I got this level here of support. I've got this level here of support. So there's a very strong likelihood that even though it would have taken me out if I put my stop here, I could still get myself out of this trade. I could add a contract right here and then get a scalp on that, and then it can end up working for my original scalp and get more than my original profit target too. So I'll be interested to watch that right now. But so it does kind of messes up my system in a way, but it doesn't, because I just want to see the chart being consistent to just constantly work for my profit target when the setup happens. Like, it shouldn't do this. It shouldn't go the other way. So that's why I stopped using those charts. But it is kind of a funny, strange thing now. I'm actually going to look and see if there's any other charts that are clean since I lost 2. this looks good. So and then as I lose charts in the day, I just go to typically I go to higher and higher tick charts. All right, so that's a good example. Like this trade lost on this chart, but then if I didn't have my stop there and it didn't take me out, like the old rule is move it to the previous swing low below it, and it would have ended up still working out to be a winning trade whether I added a contract or not. So yeah, that's a good example of the reason why I don't want to leave my stops where I was putting them before, because there's so many times where I'd take a loss and then it would just go on, do exactly this, and then go on and work for my profit target anyway. So as I mean, if we go back and look at the 48 losses I have, like how many of those are this exact situation where it takes me out, it barely goes any further down, and then it would have just given me my profit target anyway. So that's kind of the reason why I'm shifting towards saying, okay, I'm going to risk my account on every trade, because how many times will I really lose my account versus how many times something like this happened? I'm sure out of the 48 trades, there's got to be at least 20 times where I would have won. Maybe more than that, honestly. It's hard to say, but all right, so this is turning into a very non-eventful day so far for me, which is fine. I mean, the market's been mostly sideways, since the open. I mean, the majority of time we've been in this tight range. If you think about it, from here to here, 11 minutes. Kind of from here to here, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. And then from here to here. So an hour and 7 minutes, we've been kind of in this area out of, how long have I been on? An hour and 9 minutes. So, because this is before my stream started. So take off. Let's not count this part. So yeah, so roughly just about an hour out of my hour and 10 minutes I've been streaming has been in this area. So, I mean, that gives you an idea when you think about it like that. And here comes that second move down, the second leg down. So again, these measured moves, when you find them, can really be telling. Not that's helping me get a trade, but look at that. That lines up with that. So it's kind of like a triple test of that level. This is a first entry, second entry long. The measured move below it. I don't know. This is probably a trade I should take. Do I want to take it? Plenty of room. Maybe I'm in analysis paralysis too. All right, missed the trade. I don't like entering late. Let's see if this will work. Just not feeling the market today. I mean, it started with the opening trade, right? So I wasn't feeling the opening trade. It's the third day out of, let's see. So I've taken it 15 times. So it's the third time out of 18 days I could have taken the opening trade where I skipped it because I wasn't feeling it. And so it started with that. I wasn't feeling that. And then I haven't been feeling anything for the rest of the day ever since. So I don't know if it's all a combined linked thing that I'm feeling this way, but I'm just not feeling the market today. I guess that's just what it comes down to. I'm just not feeling it. I'd say objectively this was a trade I should take because of that level. But I don't like it because I've got this kind of instinct that this measured move is going to be a real measured move. But there's plenty of room, so it's like it should work for my little teeny profit target, even if it does go down here ultimately. But I don't know. I'd say I like this trade better than this trade. Like this one was right off of the measured move that I'd measured, even though I thought we were going up here. This one is just off of like a arbitrary level. I don't know what it looks like on the 1 minute. I mean, I would think it would work for my profit target, but it hasn't gotten there yet. All right, here it goes. Still think it's going to work. Still shy, I think. 15.25. There it goes. Now it's worked. Yeah. So again, it's probably a trade I should take. I think these larger measured moves I keep measuring are like, this is a thing that I've been trying to figure out how to deal with too. It's like the larger measured moves, when they work, but sometimes they don't reach those levels, but it changes my bias. And so I'm thinking I'm being too biased in a direction, and it's not letting me take a trade like this. So part of this is just, I think I gotta get my head right over the weekend. Get back to where I was taking trades before. You know, kind of on a week by week basis, I do like a self analysis of how I traded for the week. I think I wasn't really happy with my trading this week overall, even though I had some good things happen, and I don't think I blew up any accounts other than just the YOLO on the one eval on, what I YOLO'd on. I think I YOLO'd it on the opening trade. Yeah, I think I YOLO'd 10 contracts, and it didn't work for the YOLO, but it worked trading the open normal. I think that's how I blew that one up. But otherwise, I haven't blown up any accounts based on my actual trading. So it hasn't been a bad week, and I've passed two evaluations this week. So it's not a bad week. But yeah, I'm still not satisfied with my trading this week. So I gotta just make an assessment, do a little review of my week's videos, and just kind of see how the week played out, and then come back ready to execute. My daughter's awake. So I am going to have to stop trading in the next 20 to 40 minutes. But if I see a trade I really like, I'll still take it today. I'm not ruling anything out. there was a second entry here. I wasn't paying attention. And I looked right as it was about to trigger, but I was doing something. That one wasn't bad. I mean, the way this market is, I mean, it's really like, it's just a range, right? I mean, seems like we're just in a range. So when I saw this at the last second, I just didn't want to do the mistake that I did yesterday, where I was doing something else and I look and I see a setup and I don't have the time to fully consider everything. But the one thing I was considering was the fact that in my mind, I was kind of looking at this whole thing like a range like this. And so if we just came off the bottom of the range, like, is it really smart to take a trade to the short side? And so because I wasn't watching things as this was developing, it would have worked. It would have worked easily before it went up. But the fact that it worked just the way it did and didn't come all the way back to the bottom and then went up here just shows me that I probably had the right idea to just chill. Thinking range, went to the bottom. Every time we go to the bottom, we go back up. Hey, Alma. Good morning to you. You won the orb, nice. I stayed out of it. There's a new guy streaming the orb live now. Oh, I don't know about that. I gotta actually go check on my daughter for a minute. So I'll be right back if you want to hang out. Shouldn't be too long, hopefully. All right, and I'm back. And this thing is going back up like I suspected after the entry I didn't take down here. So it's like the larger moves are great to have a target if the market keeps going in that direction, but it also can kind of throw me off a little bit when it's not being able to reach those bigger targets, because it makes my bias too much in a direction, and then I'm less willing to take the trade here that I saw and the trade here. So, you know, it's just one of the things I need to kind of get my mind right about over the weekend. Because I clearly, saw that level. I talked about this. It looked dangerous afterwards that it pulled back down before it hit my profit target there. But obviously, look at this now. So, it's been an up day. But you just never know. Like, there's been days like this where it takes it all back and comes all the way down. Like the other day, like yesterday, I think it was. And then it went all the way back up again. So, just never know. Amma, if you're still here, I'm curious, where did you get in on your short for the open? Because originally, before this big move up, I was thinking to kind of play it below this level. So I was thinking of playing it kind of like below here even, but then when it moved all the way up, I knew that the only way to take the trade was to kind of maybe get in somewhere around here, kind of in this area. And I don't want to be that tight because I was concerned that it would trigger me in and then just bounce up. So I stayed out of it. I didn't trust it. Alma says, I think we're going to learn a lot from you. Well, I hope I'm learning right along at the same time. But yeah, hopefully there's things you can relate to and things that the way I see the market, that maybe little things here and there will resonate and make sense. Just checking my charts to see if these charts are all still good. Yeah, I still got 3 charts that are all good. I'm just not taking the entries as they come. Your chart looks different. You took a short, or were you on a 1 minute? Because for me, this was the candle right before the open, the minute before, and then this is the candle on the open. And so like I had an order up here, and then my order was really low, and I was considering moving it higher. And then when this formed like this and just didn't trigger on either side, I was like, okay, this open's kind of a dud. And I just decided to stay away from it. Because I didn't really, the one thing I liked about the short is because we had this huge this huge move up from the news that made a high. And the fact that this candle made a new high, so it retested it right before the open, gave more validation to the short, because this was played out. But I was still just concerned because there wasn't a lot of kind of velocity in the movement. So I didn't want to be too tight. Every time I've lost, whether on my Apex account, the one loss I've gotten, or the all the back testing I've done on playback, the only times I've lost is when I'm just too tight. Anytime I'm wide, I avoid getting triggered in the wrong side. So I just didn't want to play it. Like I didn't want to put my order all the way up here. So your chart looked different on the 1 minute than mine. That's interesting. Yeah, so I didn't see a play. I mean, I felt better about the short in a tight, playing it tight, but I didn't feel good about a short overall. And I didn't feel good about the long either because there was already a new high in place. So I just looked at the first minute and the way the price was moving. I just decided, okay, no reason to risk it here. And also because I was going to play it with 2 PAs. I was going to do 2 PAs and 1 evaluation. And so I just also, because I was going to put 2 PAs at risk, I decided it wasn't happening the way I like to see it when I like to play it. But I'm curious, how did you find a new guy streaming the orb? Starts with M. Because I'm not aware of that one. It says he's a regular alpinism. V talked about it. Oh, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about now. Okay. I didn't know he was streaming it. I know he was. I saw. I don't really watch him, but I kind of randomly clicked on him once, and he was talking about it. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, he was talking about it like after the fact or something when I randomly clicked on him just one day recently. And I didn't realize that he was streaming it, but I believe he's using some kind of bot. He's using a bot by somebody. It's really all over the place. So there's a guy that made a bot for it that doesn't trade it exactly like Alpine, but it's based off of the last candle before the open. And I think it triggers on both sides like 8 ticks away from the previous candle or something like that. And it's for the open, but it's not the way Alpine decides where to put his order. And so I think that guy, it starts with an R. I mean, I should just say their names. I don't know why I'm being so coy about it. I've got like barely any viewers, right? I mean, there's maybe 5 people watching me right now. At this point, like, I don't think anybody's doing anything that isn't known. So I don't think I'm going to have to be so coy about it. So Methodical Man is streaming it live, apparently. But my understanding is that he's using a bot that this guy that streams called Rat Lord Trades. I think he created a bot, and I think that's who Methodical Man is using, that bot to take the opening trade. I think that's what's happening. That's what I've kind of put together so far. And then 100 Lot, who's been here in the stream before, he's using a bot on the opening trade as well. And I don't know if it's the same bot as those 2 other guys or not, but they know each other. So, like, they know each other through YouTube, I guess. So I don't know if that's the same bot or not. Sounds like my daughter's upset again. Let me go check on her. All right, so I'm here with my daughter. She's sitting in my lap. Amma says they seem to know each other. Yeah, they seem to know each other. So I don't know if between Methodical Man, Rat Lord Trades or whatever his name is, and 100 Lot. I don't know if they're all using the same bot. I think it's entirely possible, or maybe 100 Lot is using a bot that is from somewhere else, or I'm pretty sure he said he didn't create it himself. So yeah, I mean, it seems like there's plenty of people that are, there's Velocity streams it and has been, that we know. And then Alpine started streaming it, but not showing where his orders are. So there's the difference between those two there. Methodical Man, I haven't seen him streaming it live, so I didn't realize he was actually streaming it. But I think he uses a bot. And I don't know if Rat Lord, I think that's his name. I'm not sure if he streams it, but I know he's the one that created the bot. And then
so I'm going to try to make some green numbers.
You're going to try to trade now and make some green numbers? Okay. So my daughter's going to try to trade for me and make some green numbers because she's concerned that they're only white numbers. And then 100 Lot doesn't stream it, but he's been kind of like putting some reviews about his accounts after the fact and giving some updates on his channel. And but then he seems to delete those videos after some amount of time. So I've caught a couple of them before they got deleted. And it seems like the last I saw, it looks like he just qualified for a payout on multiple accounts. So that's pretty awesome. Amma says lots of YouTubers now. It's okay because I don't really like their strategy. We need a variety. Amma says second entries is very similar to ICT. And Amma says let's get some green numbers. Amma would like us to get some green numbers, Lena. Okay. So yeah, a lot of streamers out there. So I'm not streaming it still for the original reason. I guess I could at this point, but I also just feel like if somebody wants to watch that trade in particular, it's like go watch one of these other people, I guess, for that particular thing, because I'm still new to it, and I'm 15 trades in. I've lost once. And honestly, I think I don't want the extra pressure of streaming it live for that particular trade yet. Maybe when I've got a few more of them under my belt. But like today was like, I was kind of all over the place today. I was like moving my order up for the short side, then moving it back down. I couldn't decide. And then I moved it up right before the open, and I saw the opening candle form slowly the way it did, and then I moved it back down, and then I really don't want the long side to trigger, so I kept moving that up.
I want to make some green numbers.
You can't make the green numbers? Well, it's not really a good time to trade this, I don't think. Let's see. Let's look at this chart. See, the bars are all going sideways, so I don't think this is really a great place to take a trade yet. So we'll just wait. Part of trading is to be patient and waiting for a good setup, right? You don't want to just force a trade anywhere, and then if it's just going sideways, it's really hard to make green numbers when it goes sideways.
Like that.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see what it wants to do. Yeah. So anyway, maybe if I do another 20 of them, maybe at that point I'll feel more comfortable to just stream it live. There's also still the thing, like I agree with what Alpine's doing and not showing the actual orders where he's putting it, because it really doesn't matter the exact order for anyone to know exactly where it is. If you have the idea of where the trade's getting entered in or not, you could kind of figure out why they're putting the orders where they are. And then you don't need to be exactly in the same place. There's a lot of wiggle room, so you could be approximately in the same place and, still win, whether you're a little bit higher or lower than anyone else. Right?
Is my pancakes done?
You want to go check? You go check and I'll be done in a little while.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think it's probably just best for me to call it a day. My daughter has a checkup with the doctor to just make sure the medicine is working well enough. She just got like bronchitis basically. And so we want to make sure the medicine's working good. So I'm going to have to take her in a little bit. And Alma says, yeah, it's so random. It's better if we don't copy. Yeah, I mean, I think between the delay, although, I typically have my orders in early enough that even with the delay, people would see where my orders are with enough time to put their orders in the same spot. So I kind of don't want that to happen. I got to run real quick. Oh, actually, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back again. Sorry to anyone that's been sitting around watching this and wondering if I'm ever coming back. Unfortunately, I am gonna have to stop. It's already later than I was originally intending to stop anyway. So really just only 2 trades I could have even considered taking today. You know, this one potentially, and where was it? This one potentially, both on the same chart. So those are the 2 trades that I saw I could have taken. Otherwise, today just there was nothing really there for me. Actually, there was a third. Now that I think about it, that one too I considered. So there were 3 trades for me today, but I didn't take any of them. And really, it started from the way the open happened for me. Was ready and wanting to take the open trade, and when this was just an inside bar on the first bar, I decided I just didn't like the trade anymore. So I decided not to go with that, and then that was kind of a symbol for how the rest of the day was. Like, there were trades I could have taken, but I didn't really feel confident about any of them. And given that's a Friday, and given how I was feeling yesterday with my frustrations and the trade that I took that I didn't feel like was a good trade. I didn't feel like I've traded according to my discipline yesterday, because I had the one small loss on the trade, and then the next trade that I took was a win, but it really also wasn't a very good trade. I would prefer to stay out of both of them. And the other thing, I'll say this in the review video too, but I got to remember that my daughter was home sick all week too, not to make excuses, but I think honestly it affects me. You know, she's home all week instead of at school, and she hasn't been sleeping good. So it's been a challenging week just with her alone, and being home all day and taking care of her all day. So for the whole week. So I think just everything combined, I'm fine with not taking a trade today. I think I'm better off this way. I'm going to take the weekend to kind of regroup, hopefully get a chance to kind of review some of the week and kind of see what I liked about what I did and what I didn't like about what I did, and just kind of come back next week feeling refreshed and ready to go. So I will get the review video done here shortly and get that up. So appreciate everyone that checks out both the live stream and the review. I know there's no trades today, so it's not a very interesting or exciting review, but I'll talk about a few things. And otherwise, 7-3 for the week. It's not terrible, not great, 70%. But the good thing about the week was I did get 2 new PAs this week. So both of these were new from this week, passing 2 evaluations. And, I did blow up. I guess I did blow up the 1 PA. I don't know if that was this week or last week. I can't remember now. I think it was last Friday. Yeah, I think I blew it up last Friday. So the good thing is I have 4 PAs in the game. That's the most I've had at one time in the year 2024. So things are headed in the right direction in that sense. I mean, unfortunately, none of these are, anywhere near close to be thinking about a payout. But on the bright side, the good thing is that I've got all 4 of these basically, really when you think about it, they're all basically even with each other. This one just has the days in already. But what would be great is if I could build these up together and all work towards a payout around the same time, even if only 2 of the 4 get there, that would still be a success story. Any 2 of the 4 will put me slightly in the green at the very least, or at least, if it's 2K payouts, then I'm very in the green. And I got 1 more evaluation that's going to be close to passing. That I've got plenty of time now that it renewed the beginning of the week, so I've got plenty of time to just let that sit. And then while that's sitting, I can work on these with the opening trade and whatnot, and try to build these up also with my regular scalping strategy. And so best case scenario, I get some form of payouts from these group of four, and then I'll have another group of four right behind those. So if I can kind of build them up and tier them in that way, things might work in my favor in the long run here. So always trying to look for the bright side of things and staying positive. And it was just last week where I was like, every time I feel like I'm turning a corner and finally getting a really strong handle on things, I'm always hit with kind of like a week where things don't go exactly how I'm hoping. 3 losses out of 10 is a little bit under where I want to be, but considering I'm an 80% trader, yeah, sometimes I'm going to be 70%, not 80% if I take 10 trades. So it's just the way it is. All right, so 207 wins and 48 losses for the year, 81%, 7-3 for the week, and 14-1 for the Alpine Orb, the opening trade. So even though there's been 3 days where I didn't take the trade out of a potential 18 days where I could have taken the trade, since I started trading it, 14-1. So, those kinds of numbers, let me think, out of 18 trades, I lost, 18 days, I lost one. I got 14 wins and 3 no trades. So if I can go in that, if I can have that kind of trajectory and continue and be in the above 90%, then that trade's going to really do wonders for me. And I'm already seeing it. I mean, the fact that I passed 2 evaluations in the same week is a sign of like how that opening trade is helping me. So, all right. The 80% discount is continuing. 1 day pass, half price resets on evaluations. Honestly, there's no reason to buy evaluations today, right? Like the day is half over and you don't want to buy an evaluation today and then have 2 days where you can't trade anyway. So I would recommend at the very least, don't buy an evaluation until Sunday. If you want to trade on Sunday, if you're not trading Sunday, don't buy an evaluation until Monday. But just be smart about how you purchase evaluations. You don't need to buy 20 at a time, and you can do it like me and try to build up somewhat slowly. And even I, have a lot more than I'd recommend for anyone that's just starting off for the first time. Like just get 1 or 2 for the first time. Don't copy trade, and try to pass 1 at a time, and then work on getting a PA. And then when you have another PA, or if you have 1 PA, then try to get a second PA, and then have a backup, and then, try to build them, get the payouts, do it slowly. Don't put yourself into a huge hole, getting accounts. That's what I recommend. So, but there have been some people that have been using the code, lately. So I appreciate that. Even if it's just, like 1 at a time, that helps me. And I appreciate it. So thank you for that. And, I do live stream, every day, 10 Eastern. I'm here, and that should cover it. I'll put out the review video. Check it out. Appreciate everyone that's watching the live streams and the review videos. And I've said it all. So have a good weekend. Hope you had a good trading week. And let's get back at it on Monday. See you then.